Our next speaker is Sergeant Major Brennan O'Connor, United States Army, class of 1980, college. He was born into a military family at West Point, New York, and was exposed to the military at a young age. His father was deployed to Vietnam and was killed in action in April of 1968. Brennan followed his father's footsteps and enrolled at Valley Forge in 1978. As a cadet, he was a member of the Anthony Wayne Legion Guard and participated in the Army Air Assault Parachute Team. He was commissioned as a second lieutenant after graduating and spent 14 years as an officer in the Army Special Operations Reserve units. Resigning his commission in 1994, he enlisted in the regular Army as a Special Forces medic. In 2005, as a Sergeant First Class, he was deployed to Afghanistan as part of Operation Enduring Freedom. He received the Distinguished Service Cross for Extraordinary Heroism on 24 June 2006 while leading a quick reaction force to support a surrounded patrol in order to rescue 2 wounded comrades. During the course of this action that ensued for 18 hours and under intense enemy fire, he crawled alone and unprotected 200 yards to reach wounded soldiers. He provided medical care and rescued the wounded, carrying one of the men across open ground to safety. Sergeant Major O'Connor is currently serving on active duty and resides with his wife Meg and their 4 children in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Ladies and gentlemen, Sergeant Major O'Connor.
Sir, do I have the Corps? Is the Corps mine? Is the Corps mine? Gentlemen of the Corps and the Corps only? If you're former members of the Corps, you can remain seated. Members of the Corps, on your feet! Stretch. 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 Wake up! Okay. Do you guys have a motto that you can yell when I tell you take seats? How about give me a hoo-ah? When I say take seats, sound off with a loud and thunderous hoo-ah! Do you understand? Sir. I'm not a sir. Take seats! One more time, stand up. Ladies and gentlemen of the Corps, take seats! All right. All right. So Valley Forge. Oh my gosh, the last time I was here, I was probably walking to Merritt's out there. How many of you here at home only have a mother or a father? In other words, one of your parents are gone. Raise your hands high, please. Well, that's where I grew up. I didn't grow up with a father. He died in Vietnam. So when I came here, I needed a connection to my father. And boy, did I find it. Boy, did I find it. The director of admissions was a gentleman named Schoendorfer. Colonel Schoendorfer and my father had been classmates at the Army Command and General Staff School. Colonel Schoendorfer's son, back in 1967, was a Boy Scout. And he was testing to be for a promotion to the next Boy Scout grade. My father was a Boy Scout troop leader, and he said, he was testing him, and he said, "Hey, you done very well. Congratulations." And he stuck out his hand in a Boy Scout handshake, and young Mr. Schoendorfer enthusiastically grasped that hand, but he didn't give a Boy Scout handshake. So my father says, "Oh, sorry, you're a no-go at this station. You'll have to test again." Why do I tell this story? Well, for one, it's the connection to Valley Forge. But 2, it's also, you are expected. Things are expected of you. You are coming out of this school, and behind you You have the reputation of this school. In front of you, you have your whole life. You have your whole life. And you will look back on your time here at Valley Forge. The friends that you make at Valley Forge, you will see again and again in your future. I'm an actively serving Army Sergeant Major. Next week, I'm going down to Fort Benning. Fort Benning right now is commanded by a guy named Major General Herbert McMaster, classmate of mine from Valley Forge. When I was in Afghanistan, I ran into a classmate of mine. He was a lieutenant colonel, I was a sergeant first class. I still think I had the better end of the deal, by the way, because I get to do stuff that you don't normally get to do as an officer, which is one of the motivations why I resigned my commission. I served in the Reserve Special Forces Unit over here in New Jersey. Anyone here from New Jersey? What exit? Point Pleasant, what exit on the Jersey Turnpike? You don't know, huh? Is it off the Garden State Parkway? Oh, so it works. Where are you from? Cinnaminson? Did you say Cinnaminson? Oh, Somerset, okay. So over there at Fort Dix is where I started my Army career as a second lieutenant in the Army Reserve. Had a great time, and let me tell you, I was hooked. I was hooked. I really, really enjoyed my time in the Army Reserve and as a Special Forces officer. I came to that like Peter Pan moment where I had to accept promotion to the next grade, which would take me away from the troops and into those vital and very important staff positions. Well, I decided, you know what, there's a lot of stuff I wanted to do in the Army that I didn't get to do as a Special Forces Reserve officer. And boy, what a great decision I think it turned out to be. Because, let's see now, I've jumped out of a perfectly good airplane at 13,000 feet. I have been on a German submarine, a U-boat. I've climbed volcanoes in Ecuador, in Iceland. I've served as an Army medic. And as an Army medic, I've given birth. I'm sorry, I haven't given birth. I assisted the birth of a young boy in a jungle environment in Ecuador. I assisted the arrival of a set of twins in the most modern hospital in Maryland. I've also held the hand of an American soldier who paid the ultimate sacrifice. But I did all these things as an outgrowth of what I learned here at Valley Forge. At Valley Forge. It's been a great ride. It really has for me. You know, I was talking to Dr. Murray. Is he still here? Dr. Murray? There he is. Yeah, Dr. Murray and I still stay in touch with Dr. Murray's first class. I think class is 79. So I still stay in touch with those folks, and I stay in touch with my classmates. Heck, I pinned a classmate of mine. I'm an Army Master Sergeant at the time. I'm pinning his colonel leaves on his shoulder. Well, that was kind of that raised some eyebrows, because usually you have like general officers do that. But the point is you're making connections. When I used to travel in my work in the Army Special Forces, I would travel to other countries: Colombia, Brazil, Ecuador, El Salvador, Nicaragua, and I would look up my classmates. So you're making friendships here that will take you a long, long way. A long way. I came here as a child as a young man who needed some direction, and I got it here at Valley Forge. I was inspired. I mean, I always wanted to serve in the Army. Quite frankly, that's all I ever wanted to do. But making the friends here, making the connections here, getting to see these World War II vets that worked as our cadre. Marshal Sanger, Colonel Rennie, Ted Metaxas. These are great Americans who inspired me to maintain my connection both to the nation in service and to the friends and family that I consider the new family that I gained here at Valley Forge. I want to thank you all very much for having me here. And one more time, on your feet. At my command, I want you to sound off with a loud and thunderous hoo-ah. Take seats!
Captain Hensley wants to be Special Forces. Listen, we have Special Forces gentlemen here. Ask him a question.
Checks out airplanes for fun.
Can't hear you. Put that microphone down.
The gentleman was in Special Forces in the Army. When you
Speak up.
did you plan on going to be a medic at first, or like what was your original plan when you wanted to go out Forge? Did you always know what you wanted to do, and you kind of just wanted to place the
Well, my plan coming out of Valley Forge was to be a 5-star general. Next question. No. I'll tell you what. My plan at Valley Forge was to get a commission and enter the infantry and go from there. Actually, there was an SFNCO that worked here at Valley Forge who happened to be, his last name was Ensley. Any relation to you?
I'm not sure, so I don't believe so.
You don't think so? Well, isn't that interesting? But anyway, yeah, Sergeant Major Ensley was a Special Forces NCO, very, very bright fellow.
Harvard graduate.
Harvard graduate as an NCO. So there is, don't discount your NCOs for you second lieutenants out there, or soon to be second lieutenants. Do not discount your NCOs as being uneducated. Okay, that's not the case anymore. So he was very, very inspirational man. And of course, I grew up reading war history, so I knew a little bit about the Special Forces. And actually, there was I guess it was about 1966 or 1967, there was I think a #1 hit at the time was a song sang by Staff Sergeant Barry Sadler, Battle of the Green Berets. And this may sound corny, but there's a line in that lyric that says, back at home, a young wife waits. Her Green Beret has met his fate. And somewhere it basically says, put silver wings on my son's chest, make him one of America's best. And that's what I aspired to.
How did you motivate your troops through hard times?
Can anyone answer that question? Leadership. Personal example. At a critical time in the Battle of the Cayuga, I had volunteered to go out and lead the QRF, Quick Reaction Force. And I did my map recon, and I'm looking at things, and this wide-eyed soldier looks at me and goes, "Where are we going?" And I just turned to him and I said, "To the sound of the guns. To the sound of the guns. Leadership. Follow me." I got to pile on here. So, I'm an Irishman. I think Dr. Murray, the G.K. Chesterton, who said, "The Irish are the race that God made mad. For all their songs, all their wars are happy, and all their songs are sad." One of the ways that I faced fear was my irrepressible sense of humor. I laughed at everything that was going on around me. I think someone might, probably a manic laughter. I was getting machine gun bullets were passing through my camelback, and I was being sprayed with hot water. I didn't know if it was blood or water, but I started laughing. I looked over to the one side, and there was an Afghan soldier who was down behind a low brick wall, and the machine guns were chewing that wall away. And I saw him do like a backflip roll away, and I started laughing. I was working on the wounded soldier who unfortunately passed. An RPG, a rocket-propelled grenade round, hit the berm in front of me and landed, plop, right there in front of my face. And I took a breath, and I started laughing. Because I could. Because I could. One thing about panic and fear, it's very, very contagious. If you display fear and panic, the next person next to you may do the same thing.
Sympathetic.
Sympathetic detonation. Yeah, there you go. Sympathetic detonation. So, it's all a matter of perspective. I told you that I was an avid reader of history. I knew what soldiers had gone through in previous wars. In my combat experience, measured in hours. He had a 5-month battle at Monte Cassino where 350,000 souls were affected, some of them forever. I would say all of them forever. So it's all perspective. You do your preparation, realize what you're going into, and the rest will come. It really will. Always keep a good sense of humor, though.